I just want you to know how much I suffer for your entertainment. And what I mean by that is, it is an incredibly hot day, and my door is closed, my ceiling fan is off, the regular fan in my room is off, and it's hot as hell in here. I am going to burn and sweat myself to death and dehydrate and shrivel up, not unlike a raisin. And I do this for you, my beloved viewers, all 3 of you. I put myself through this flagellation, this self-sacrifice for your benefit, so that you do not get bored.
Be careful.
Let me check in. Yeah, looks like I am live, and I'm also recording for later. 0 dropped frames so far. It might come later. It seems to do that sometimes. So yeah. Hey, how is it going? I'm gonna play some WoW Classic today, because I kind of feel up for streaming today. Despite the heat, despite the immense killer heat that is happening all around us, I want to have some fun with this game for today. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where the hell Fizzle Darkstorm is within Thunder Ridge and Durotar. I have an idea of where the enemy is, where this creature is. I think it's in Thunder Ridge right there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But then also, oh, I know that guy. Okay. Hey. I just recently went on a vacation. I'm very excited about that. Even though it's done, it's over now, I'm back home. Back in regular old life, regular world. My vacation was really fucking cool. I'm quite thankful that I got to do it, you know. It's one of those things where, like, I don't really take a whole lot of vacations, so, you know, if and when the opportunity strikes and it's a good time to go, I'm gonna go. And it was this past month. This was in July. It was like the tail end of July, right around there. So I am in Southern California, the LA area. We'll leave it at that. And I drove up to San Jose to see the Winchester Mystery House, which, if you don't know what that is, let me explain. Sarah Winchester is, or was, you know, back in the mid to late 1800s, I want to say, like early 1900s. Sarah Winchester was the wife of the Winchester guy who created the Winchester repeating rifle. And, you know, that weapon in particular is oftentimes referred to as the gun that won the West, quote, quote, quote. Which is to say, it was immensely popular, very accurate, quite deadly, and kind of like the go-to rifle for many of ye old cow pokies. So the Winchester guy got, like, stupid rich, like so unbelievably wealthy for the time that I don't know if this is true, but I want to say it's reasonable to compare Mr. Winchester and Sarah Winchester to, like, the Elon Musk of today and, like, the Jeff Bezos kind of thing, right? Like, the Winchester family, the husband and wife, had enough money to kind of, like, buy whatever they wanted whenever they want. Like, they were so incredibly fucking wealthy. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. At some point, Mr. Winchester died. Where am I going? I'm going to Valley of Honor. I'm going to put away my beast for a bit here. At some point, Mr. Winchester died, and Sarah Winchester basically, like, inherited all of that money, you know? And they were living in a house in a mansion in San Jose, California, and after Mr. Winchester died... Am I going the right way? Yeah. Sarah basically kept building onto the mansion, the house, and it, like, she was sort of involved with the spiritualism movement as well, and the common idea is that she started making these weird, strange rooms in the mansion that didn't really go anywhere or had weird proportions in them as a way to, like, sort of confuse and dissuade, like, you know, errant spirits to essentially, like, kind of leave her be, or to, like, keep them away, you know? Oh, it's up here. And so she's building, like, room upon room upon... I'm doing a terrible job of like, just go to the Winchester Mystery House, go get an actual tour, they'll tell you so much better than I ever could. Lady Winchester kept building room upon room upon room in this house, and it's like a massive, almost like a palatial estate, as it were, nowadays. However, given that it was built in the, like, late 1800s, early 1900s, it looks like it, right? There is modern electricity, but there's no, like, you know, there's no, or if there are, they're kind of hidden, like, outlets, right? Like electrical outlets, that kind of thing. It's got a lot of the trappings of old school, like old school mansion living, right? So there's, like, two different... It's not a solarium, a conservatory, there you go. Two different, basically, rooms with glass walls that plants can thrive in while inside of a house, you know? They get plenty of sunlight, all that kind of stuff. And these rooms, of course, were gorgeous. I'm a plant guy. I love plants. And so the idea of having a room filled with sunlight that plants can thrive in, hell yes, thank you. I want that a lot. Like, that is really cool to me. And, so the Winchester estate, the Winchester house, one of the common ideas is that it's haunted, if not directly by the ghost of Sarah Winchester, then by other random spirits. I didn't experience any ghosties when I went there. There was no Scooby-Doo mystery to be solved for me. But I went there basically just to see the house and to take the tour. To see what the house was like, you know, all the different rooms, that kind of thing. And it was definitely worth it. It was a beautiful fucking house. Like, it's so gorgeous there, you know? Which makes sense given the amount of money that Sarah Winchester invested into the place. Take a fortifying sip of my Rockstar. Sponsor me, Rockstar. And, so there were something like 84 total rooms in the Winchester house, as it stands currently, I want to say. Hang on, I actually want to try to tame a creature that I don't think I've tamed, a beastie that I don't think I've tamed over here. But first I have to find it. It is one of the corrupted beasts. and they look a little bit different. Where are they? Where are they? Well, I guess I'll keep talking about the Winchester house while I'm looking. Blood Talon Scythe Maw. There it is. Corrupted Blood Talon Scythe Maw. For whatever reason, this thing looks so weird, and I love it. And so, of the 84 or so rooms in the Winchester Mystery House, you were taken on a tour that let you go into or look at about 80 of them. 4 of them, I want to say that's the correct number, 4 of them just weren't available. I don't know why, but they just weren't available. Okay, let me mark this guy down real quick. Corrupted Blood Talon Scythe Maw, which is a raptor. And it was level 9, I want to say. Level 10? Ooh. Getting up there. Now, sadly, this guy knows nothing that I can learn, so I'll get rid of him fairly quickly, I want to say. But I want to try to find another corrupted thing. There are other corrupted beasties out here somewhere. And actually, I don't think I have... No, I don't have a Blood Talon Scythe Maw. So let's go ahead and do that first. Well, here, I'll kill you first. Yeah. Wait, not dismiss. Abandon. And so we went on the tour of the Winchester Mystery House, and we went through 80 of the 84 rooms that were available. And the tour itself was really cool. The tour guide that we had was super, super knowledgeable about the place. She would do a much better job of explaining everything about the house than I ever could, which you would expect, right? Given that that's her job. Let's see. Blood Talon Scythe Maw, who is a raptor. And level 8. Ooh, that's a youngin'. Awesome. Okay, so that is one more beastie that I've tamed, and look at that, so cool. Yeah, wait, hang on. If there is... Yes, crocolisks. Let's see if I'm strong enough to tame them. I might not be, but we'll see. Yeah. You're going away. Abandon. Bye-bye. And actually, this is going to be the first crocolisk I have ever tamed. Isn't that exciting? Yeah! Let's see, you have Bite. That's cool. I'll take it. It was a Dreadmaw crocolisk. Let me mark this down. Crocolisk, and it was level 11? Yeah. Cool. The Beastiary here is really starting to come along. But also I'm going to abandon you very quickly so that I can tame the corrupted version of you, which is somewhere. I think he went further down. But the tour guide was super knowledgeable. She was just a really great guide. I will say, you could tell that she had done this like 100,000 times. So nothing about the tour was like unique or different with her, I want to say. Like it was very much routine for her, which is fine. It means that she's great at her job. You know, nothing can surprise her. But there were some times where she seemed a little bit. Is that gonna hurt me? Okay, cool. Nice. You don't have bite? Why don't you have bite? You're I swear to God. There were some times where she seemed like yeah, this is the tour, like I know everything about this, and you know, it is what it is, and again, that's fine. I'm not expecting to be wowed every time. But she kind of went pretty quick with the tour as well. Like she kind of went through things very quickly, which just, you know, shows her expertise. So again, it's not a problem. It's just, it was very unexpected, you know. I guess I should have expected it, to be honest. Okay, let me mark you down. Corrupted Dreadmaw Crocolisk, who is a Crocolisk and level 11, I believe. Yeah. I'm gonna call you Bear. I don't know why. Now I want to say, I think there is one more corrupted... Oh, it's the corrupted Scorpids. That's right. There are corrupted Scorpids here that are the same color scheme as my Sarkoth, so it's black and red. So I'm going to go find one of those and try to tame it. Ooh, actually, I should try to feed this guy. Yes. That will do nicely. But, so the tour guide really knew her stuff. She was definitely an expert, and that was good. That was appreciated. She took us on the tour. It took about, I want to say it took like an hour and a half total. And despite, how do I say this? Despite the massive size of the house and the number of rooms that there were in the house, surprisingly enough, an hour and a half of the tour actually was plenty of time. You got to see, like I said, almost every room. You got to spend a fair amount of time in each room. One thing that did annoy me, though I didn't obey the rule every time, was that there was a rule that you couldn't take video of the tour or in the house. You could take pictures, but no video. And I didn't always adhere to that rule because I just didn't like it. From a business standpoint, I could see the prohibition against video probably being in place to like protect the asset of the house or the investment of the house. Excuse me. They might be of the opinion that, and this is categorically not true, but they might be of the mistaken idea that people will rather watch a video of some experience than go and do the experience, which is not true. Like, that is obviously not true. I know this. Hopefully you're intelligent enough to know this as well. Like just to speak frankly, if corrupted scorpid, here we go. If I see a video of a place and it is an awesome place, like even if it's a tourist attraction or some deserted location, I want to go there, you know? Like, it wasn't that there was no video of the Winchester Mystery House that made me want to go there. It was the story of the thing. It was the legend of it, right? The idea of the place. I had been wanting to go there for years. And, where's rank 1? Sure. And, you know, like, I don't really agree with them not wanting video to be taken of it. Again, I can see where they're coming from. I can see their mindset, or at least what I presume their mindset to be. Let me mark down this creature. Corrupted Scorpid, who is a Scorpid, and it was level 11. Okay. But to my mind, their prohibition against video footage was it was silly. It wasn't needed. I could do nothing to, you know, like, convince them that it's not needed, but that's my opinion. And so that was kind of annoying, but again, I understood it. Now, like I said, I didn't obey the rule every time, but in the beginning I was taking more video than towards the end, and it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try to obey the rule. I'm going to try to be a good person about this. I'm not going to try to rock the boat. And so I stuck to taking more, like a lot more photos than videos of the mansion. Now the good news is I picked up a new digital camera, like a vlog style camera, but it also takes pictures. I did that shortly before I left for the vacation, and boy was that the right move to make, because the camera that I got takes great photos. It's not the best digital camera out there, but it also wasn't $3,000, so, you know, that's probably why. But for my purposes, for my needs, for taking videos or taking photos for, like, you know, for like my fucking YouTube channel or whatever, you know, it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed it to be. And so I'm very happy about that. I'm gonna try to fight you. So towards the like the second half of the tour, I started taking more pictures than video, and that was totally fine, because some of the photos turned out really nice. And what was I saying? Yeah, an hour and a half was actually plenty of time to take the entire tour to see basically every room. The mansion was huge, but, like, inside the mansion there wasn't a whole lot to do but walk around and look at stuff and take pictures and then move on, right? So that's probably part of the reason why an hour and a half was plenty of time. You just didn't need much more than that. Wait. Oh, from there. Okay. Now, Mr. Fizzleclaw is supposed to be... Oh, shit. He's... Oh, this is actually going to be kind of tough. That's the guy. Well, it might not be, actually. Let's see. Let's try. I'm thinking the real challenge of this particular part of the quest here in Thunder Ridge is just, like, getting swarmed by enemies, you know what I mean? Like, as long as that doesn't really happen, then I should be okay, I think. And I landed on a chest. Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sweet. Now, I am actually positive that I can't tame thunder lizards because look at how badass they are. Why would you ever be allowed to tame that in this game? No meat? Alright, that's fine. So I took the whole tour there. That was in San Jose, California, which is way, way up north from where I am, near the LA area, right? It was a total drive of like 5 or 6 hours, I want to say. Like, it was a hell of a long drive. But I also did stop along the way for, like, you know, gas and to eat some food and to get out and stretch and all that kind of stuff, right? So it wasn't just driving the whole time. But still, that's no short distance, right? But it was definitely worth it. I'm very glad that I drove that far. Now, one thing that was like weird or interesting about the tour was that with every tour ticket that you bought, it included a ticket or access, let's say, to the grounds, the gardens of the estate, which I'm given to understand actually is fucking huge. But I couldn't figure out how to find these these gardens, right? Like, I'm sure they were there. I don't know where I don't know how you get there, though. And what I mean is, like, after the tour, you exit through the gift shop, which is, you know, normal, that's standard. And then you can leave to go back to your car and go somewhere else, or you can take another exit onto the, like, outside grounds of the mansion, which I did. I wanted to take a look around more, but for whatever reason, like, I couldn't figure out how to get to the gardens. Now, there was a little sign up at one area that said, "This section closed for private event," and you could hear over, like, loudspeakers someone talking to what sounded like a group of IT people, and she was saying, like, "Now, we had a strong first quarter, and blah, 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 and, you know, our fiscal year, whatever." Like, I think, it was like, I think the gardens might have been through there, but I think they were also closed for some kind of, rank 2, yeah. I think they were also closed for some kind of, like team building training thing that, like, a company was doing, so I wasn't going to be able to go there anyway. Which, like, you know, that is it's kind of messed up, but also, like, it's not a huge deal. Like, so I couldn't take a look at the grounds of the Winchester estate, but I think they might have been through there, wherever that is. Yeah. Go, attack! Yes. Okay. But the reason I bring up the grounds and the estate and all that kind of stuff, there we go, is I want to say, even though the mansion itself was on the small side, I think the grounds were like acres worth of grounds. I think it was something like 10 or so acres. Don't quote me on that, I do not know, but I think it was something like 10 acres, like huge for the middle of downtown San Jose, right? But of course I don't know how big the grounds were because I couldn't go. But that's fine. I'm gonna fight you. And I'm gonna feed you before you run away. Now, how do I leave? I think I have to leave this other way, which is annoying. So if you ever get the hankering to go to the Winchester Mystery House, I do recommend it. It is a fantastic tour. At one point, okay, so let me back up. On the tour, you are informed that at one point the mansion itself was, I think, 5 stories total high, which is massive for, you know, like a wooden house from the 1800s, right? That's huge. However, it is no longer 5 stories tall, and the reason for that is that at one point there was an earthquake, and the top 2 stories of the house fell off in the earthquake. They like collapsed, and they kind of leaned against the side of the mansion. And here we go. Rather than try to rebuild them, Sarah Winchester just kind of decided, you know what, we're gonna just keep those off. We're gonna keep the top 2 floors off and just leave it at 3 stories. So the Mystery House is 3 stories now, currently. And at one point on the tour, you, sorry, I bumped the desk. You get to see like a top observation floor. Oh, that's cool. Doesn't look like... Oh, it's just plain. That's fine. You get to see, like... Basically, you get what at one time was a great view of downtown San Jose. You used to be able to see the San Jose mountains off in the distance. However, and this is something that annoyed the tour guide and probably annoys all of the staff, which I understand completely. Literally right across the street from the Winchester Mystery House is construction, like currently, actively, construction on a brand new apartment complex, which is to say like a building, like a 7 or 8 story apartment building. Just massive structure, something that you would find like in New York, you know? And this building is so tall that it actually blocks the views of the rest of San Jose. So in one direction from the top of the Winchester Mystery House, you can basically just see the apartment complex that is being constructed. And it's really quite sad. Like, it sucks that that is the case, you know? Where am I taking this? Razor Hill. Okay, and that's right there. Okay. So that part sucks. But aside from that, you know, every other direction that you can get to from the observation section of the top of the house looks great. You can see views of the city. You're fairly high up, you know. So it was nice to be able to see that, despite the massive, ugly construction going on. That kind of sucked. But I do recommend taking the tour if you ever get the chance to. It was really cool. It was definitely worth it. But as you can imagine, that was only like a one-day thing, right? So my vacation was something like 10 or 11 days total, I want to say. So the first day was driving, stay in a room. Second day was the Mystery House, stay in a room. I stayed at the Hotel Avanti, which was very cool. I don't need much when it comes to hotels. I'm not looking for like a ton of amenities, but the reason that I picked this one is that there was free parking and they did a continental breakfast in the morning. It's so convenient, I can't not take it, right? And the hotel itself was pretty nice. My room was decent. It was good. It was clean. It was like everything looked. It felt freshly laundered, which was fantastic. This will come up later as a point of contention with a different hotel that sucked balls. But the Hotel Avanti was very cool. The breakfast in the morning was nothing special, but they had like bagels and cream cheese and, you know, juice and water and milk and cereal and like these little like parfait yogurt jars that they did there in-house, which was cool. I liked that. Yay. Cave called Skull Rock. Oh, I know where that is. Okay. Yeah, I know where that is. So the breakfast in the morning was included, and like I said, it was part of the reason why I went there to begin with. So good job, good for me. That was totally worth it. Now, I only booked this room for 2 nights because I was under the impression that I was just going to find like another place either in San Jose or San Francisco, which is where I wanted to go next. But after the second night there, I went into San Francisco for the day to take a tour of the San Francisco Bay, which was really, really cool. They basically put you on a big boat. Let me sell some shit. Don't need that. Don't need that. Can I... Nope, not worth it. Sell that. Yeah, sell. That's not worth keeping. And I think I'm back to where I started.
Be safe.
So after the hotel, I went into San Francisco, and I had booked this tour in advance a while ago, so it wasn't like, it wasn't like I knew more or less what I was going to get into. Gonna get rid of you and bring out my good pet, my good boy.
You be careful, man.
Yeah, hello, welcome back. What am I doing quest-wise now? Do I have... No. Skull Rock. Oh, I know where... Oh, that's the same place. Okay, I'll just go there then. So the tour of the San Francisco Bay was... again, it was about an hour and a half. For whatever reason, both of them were about an hour and a half. It was like $45-ish, right around there. And they put you on a boat with a very nice, like, glass-walled viewing section inside. And then the top of the boat was also a viewing deck. So that was very cool. And because I got a brand new digital camera, I got the Sony ZV-E10, which came out during the pandemic, and as such was very, very hard to find because of the chip shortage that was happening. Hang on, let me just check. Okay. Because of the chip shortage that was happening, Sony just basically couldn't get the chips necessary to manufacture the camera. So for a while they were not making it, which, to release a brand new camera and then all of a sudden you can't make it, even though everybody that gets a review copy loves the damn thing. Like that sucks, And it's not their fault, I get it. But it was very unfortunate for people who, like me, wanted to buy it. Yes. But eventually, they started, ramping up production of the cameras, presumably because they got more chips in stock or something. And eventually Best Buy got a camera in stock. I bought it like within an hour of getting the email that it was in stock, and I picked it up eventually, and I got the camera, and it's great. So for the San Francisco Bay tour, I used that camera to take a lot of video, and what I thought was a lot of time-lapse footage, but it wasn't. So stupid. Part of it's my fault. I just assumed that S&Q mode, which I think means slow and quick, I assumed that defaulted to time-lapse mode, like the time-lapse mode on my GoPro. It is not. So there are very prolonged sequences on that tour of the San Francisco Bay where I am, like, thinking that I'm going to take time-lapse footage of, for instance, approaching Alcatraz Island or approaching the Golden Gate Bridge, and that is not what happened. What I actually ended up taking was very, very slowed down footage of Alcatraz Island getting slightly closer to the camera. That's it. Or very slowed down footage of the boat slightly approaching the Golden Gate Bridge. And that's it. Like it it's so stupid. I can't believe that I just assumed that this was the case, and it really wasn't. Let me go find that guy. I think he's over here. Yum 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 rockstar. So the accidentally super slow-mo footage that I took, it's beautiful, it's cinematic, it looks great, but you could obviously tell that I filmed it thinking it was something else. Which I did.
Speak, friend.
Oh, God. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Welcome, Lubu. Word reached me of your coming and your exploits in Durotar. You are a hunter of growing skill and renown. Stay on the pure path, and your future will be great indeed. Sure. Just 1 second here. Lubu, the Burning Blade has infested the cave east of Orgrimmar known as Skull Rock. Inside that cave, they perform vile rituals and burn their own flesh with searing collars. By wearing these collars, I believe the cultists attune themselves to demonic power. But to confirm this, I must have a collection of the collars to study. And none of these weapons are going to be good for me, although I could use the sword to boost up my sword skill. That'll be good.
Strength.
And now I go into Skull Rock anyway. But for the tour, like I said, I took a bunch of accidentally slow-mo footage thinking it was going to be great, quick time-lapse footage of, like I said, the Golden Gate Bridge coming closer to the camera, or like of the water, or of the cityscape of San Francisco from the boat, like looking over the water. It looks great. It's cinematic as fuck. It's not at all what I wanted. But I can still use it at some point in a vlog at some time later. Like, I can still make use of it, and I don't regret taking it. It's gonna serve a purpose, just not the purpose that I thought it would serve at all. So that's annoying, but you know, whatever. But the tour of the bay itself, it was through a company called Alcatraz City Cruises. It wasn't actually... oh, sweet. Okay, so that's done. It wasn't actually a trip to Alcatraz Island. Apparently, I learned this shortly before I left for the trip. Apparently, Alcatraz Island itself is so incredibly popular that like tickets to the island sell out like 2 months in advance. So by the time I thought to myself, hey, let's go visit Alcatraz, tickets were long sold out. I mean sold out, like, just like, crazy fast sold out. I'm gonna kill that guy. But the tour of the bay was still very nice. And the boat itself, there were like 50 or 60 people total on the boat, which, you know, for COVID times were kind of packed in there, but they maintained a mask mandate on the boat the whole time, which I personally do appreciate that, and I do want that, you know? Like, if I'm going somewhere full of people, I would like everyone to wear a mask. That's just, you know, my personal preference, because I have a brain. Because, you know, the pandemic isn't over just because you're over it, right? So, yeah. That's my thoughts on the matter. So I appreciate that they enforced a mask mandate. That was good. It was a very good thing. And I think there would have been a mask mandate on Alcatraz Island as well. So, if you want to visit, you know, The Rock, you're going to have to wear a mask. At least during COVID times. So, just be aware of that. Here we go. Okay, so the boat itself left from the harbor and basically went straight to Alcatraz. Again, we didn't stop on the island, we didn't dock or anything, but we kind of went around, like we took a full 360 view of Alcatraz Island. We went around the island of the prison and saw some really good views of the buildings, the structures, the island itself. That place is covered in seagulls. I mean, so many seagulls there. Yes, I will take that, thank you. And, where's I going with this? So we did a full 360 view of the island. Because my camera has a fairly okay zoom, the ZV-E10, when you buy it, it has the option of coming with a kit lens or the body only. And because I don't really know much about digital cameras, I went with the version that came with the kit lens. The lens itself was 16 to 50 millimeters, which, again, I'm given to understand means that it has an okay zoom. And so I was able to take fairly good videos of some zoomed in parts of the island. Nothing super zoomed in, but enough to, like, you know, look fantastic. And the lens itself was fairly simple for my dumbass to use. Like, it wasn't too complicated. So I got some good zoomed in footage of the island. I got some good, like, standard footage as well. Here we go. I'm gonna fight you. First I'm gonna fight you. Now I hope this guy drops something cool for me. Otherwise, what's the point? Wow. Wow, that was terrible. Wow, that sucked. Yay. So, okay, so we went and took a 360 view of the island, and then... So basically, we went from the bay to the island, did a full 360, and then kind of kept going straight. And we basically, like, went directly to the Golden Gate Bridge at that point. Okay, let me go talk to this fool in here. And let me tell you, the Golden Gate Bridge is exactly like it is in the movies and the TV shows. Like, literally you cannot see the top of the bridge towers or supports or whatever because they are hidden in the fog. They are hidden in the clouds. Like, maybe on a clear, very bright, very hot day there wouldn't be clouds and you could see the top of the bridge towers. But this day, it looked exactly like you imagine it looks in the movies, right? It was beautiful, a massive structure, and the tops of the towers were hidden completely. I don't know where they ended. It was really, really cool. And the bridge is long enough that from the... Like, the boat didn't get super close, probably for, like, I guess waterway legal reasons. I don't know. I will take the sword. Thank you. Mr. Fire... Oh, he's... Okay, he's in Orgrimmar on the Cleft of Shadow. Okay.
For the Horde.
Yeah, I know where this guy is. I did this quest on an alt already. This chain, I should say. Okay, so the bridge is long enough that, at least from the distance of the boat, like, you can see one end of it on part of the, I guess, San Francisco rocks or whatever. And then if you turn and looked in the other direction, you couldn't see the end of it. It was like, it was that long, that far out, and that foggy, I guess. So it was really cool, very beautiful to see in person. I got a lot of, like I said, I got a lot of good footage, and some of it is very slow accidentally, but it's still going to be great footage to look at later. Worth noting, in case this matters to you, in case you want to get the ZV-E10 camera, I do recommend getting it. I also recommend getting a 256 gigabyte memory card that goes with it, because I was taking 1080p footage at 60 frames per second, and based on the storage capacity of that card, which again, 256 gigabytes, I would have been able to take a total of like 9 to 10 hours of footage, which is a massive amount of time. In fact, you might not even need that much. If you wanted to get this camera on a memory card, you could probably get away with 128 gigabytes, and, you know, that's, what, you figure, like 4.5 hours? Like, that is still a ton of footage, but I am the kind of person that if I am out on a trip or a vacation or whatever, and I want to, like, maximize my card space, 256 is, like, kind of the limit that I'm at. Like, I think that's a great amount of space for me. You're gonna find other people, like vloggers and stuff, who will tell you, or content creators, who will tell you to get multiple cards at lower storage capacities. Excuse me. So in my case, I probably could have gotten away with sell that, and that, and that, and those.
Goodbye.
I probably could have gotten away with getting two 128 gigabyte cards, and the logic there is that if one of your cards fails, presumably the other one will still have whatever footage it took on it, and you're not totally screwed in terms of lost footage, right? So I can see that logic. I can see that that's a good thing. But I am, you know, knock on wood, I am extremely careful with my electronics, and so I do everything in my power to try to prevent things like that from happening. I'm not perfect at it, but, you know, a massive critical failure on my one card, hopefully I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. If it does, then yes, I'm screwed. But I'm going to try to make sure that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And so in my case, that comes down to... where? You stuck? Come on. That's one less card to manage mentally, and one less thing to have to take out of the camera and switch out and, you know, do all that kind of stuff over and over again. It's less taxing on my mind, is what I'm saying. Here we go.
Strength and honor.
Listen closely to what you are told, and do not quickly trust or distrust. For even friends serve their own ends, Hunter. Our great war chief knows this, and to prove that there are warlocks within the Horde who do not wish to destroy it from within or gain control over it, I have volunteered to aid our young leader in any way I can.
Now, this guy...
My most humble greetings, Hunter. How might I help my troll brother today? Ah, and where did you get this? Good Margaz and Razor Hill sent you to me, did he? Well, let me take a closer look.
Hey, I'm level 17. Yay! Woo!
Since the last Great War, when the Burning Legion was defeated, I have searched for sources of demonic corruption in Orc society. The collar you brought me confirms my fears. It belongs to the Burning Blade, a cult that rallies around an item of demonic power. It is called the Demon Seed, and it resides in the Barrens atop Dreadmist Peak. It must be destroyed. Go to Farwatch Post, on the border of the Barrens to the west, and speak with my assistant, Oxzeloth. He will direct you further.
Gabu.
Gabu. Alright. Oh, there was one other...
Speak
but it's not done. Yeah.
for the Horde.
At some point, I'm going to have to go in here, which is Ragefire Chasm. It's an instance, and I'm probably a good level for it right now, but I don't want to do it right now. However, I can equip some stuff now. 2 plus 20, 3 2 plus 20. Yeah, so I'm going to switch out the Deviate Scale Cloak to the Forest Cloak. Yeah, and it's a nice long cloak, too. Look at that. Looks great. Ah! And then I can also equip this ring, which I think I'm going to get rid of this one. Sure. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And now I can sell some stuff.
What can I help you with?
And yep, I will use that.
For the Horde.
Oh, I need to visit, oh, what's his face? The Horde Chief. Chief Bloodhorn? Chief, don't tell me. Horde Chief Black Talon? Fuck, Rage Yell? What is it? Thrall. Oh my god. Thrall. I was nowhere near correct. But I'm going to go there now. I think it's right up... Yeah, it's in the Valley of Wisdom. So the San Francisco Bay tour was fantastic. It was really cool. But be aware, if you want to take the tour, the outside of the boat, like the top observation deck and all that, super, super windy at all times because you're basically barreling along the open ocean. And because it's so windy, it's very chilly, right? So I had a hoodie on, a brand new, super thick, very nice premium hoodie, and it kept me quite warm. This was one of the Teddy Fresh Color Block 2.0 hoodies. It sounds like I'm begging for sponsors, and I kind of am, but I'm kind of like also just really happy with it. Okay, that's Thrall. Wait, who's the other guy then? One of the guys here is like responsible for corrupting the Horde or something, right? Like, I've never played the past Warcraft RTS games, but someone here is like responsible for that, right? Who is he? Maybe not? Shit, I don't remember, but whatever. But yeah, if you're going on the Bay tour, definitely bring like a nice windbreaker or like a heavy jacket with you, because it will be needed.
All members of the Horde are equal in my eyes, Lubu. We have all suffered many burdens, and if it were not for wisdom and honor, then we would be no better than the Scourge or my people.
Then the Scourge or my people Waller. Oh god. Okay.
Then we would be no better than the Scourge or my people while our blood was tainted by the demon Manaroth. It is your duty to aid the Horde and to defend our way of life. But it is also your duty to know when quarter and compassion should be given to friend and foe alike. Understand this well. This is the new Horde, not some demon-spawned army who lack free will.
Yeah, sure, thank you. Cool, thank you. Explain to you the depths, sure. Hidden enemies, okay. Cool. Okay, so that is another, I think there's 2, I want to say. 2 hidden enemies quests, I think. Something like that. So, okay, let's go back and talk to Niru Fireblade after talking to Thrall. Sorry, I didn't really feel like narrating all of Thrall's dialogue for that quest. I maybe should have for fun, but I just didn't feel like it. My voice is a little bit tired today. But yeah, the Bay tour was about an hour and a half, super windy, super cold, definitely still worth it. If you want to go and take it, I highly recommend it, but again, wear a heavy jacket, but it's still, you're going to have a good time. Bring a good camera with you. And so after that, I basically walked around Fisherman's Wharf, which was like, if you just keep going along the street, it was called the Embarcadero, I think. Wait, he's in there. You come right up to Fisherman's Wharf, which is like definitely a touristy spot, but it's like there's a bunch of like fish restaurants and a bunch of little shops. It's very cool looking, very quaint, old school for sure. I had lunch at a fish place up there. It was nothing super special, but it was good, and it wasn't overpriced or anything, so that was nice. And right along Fisherman's Wharf is a lot of Slaying the Beast. Is this the one? Oh, here we go.
Ah, one of our own. It is good to see our numbers are growing so rapidly that I can no longer keep track of the faces of our members. That fool, Thrall, thinks I am working hard to cleanse the image of warlocks and prove we are his servants. Idiot. The Burning Legion will make ash of this entire world after it drains it completely.
So essentially what's happening here is that since we have this Burning Blade insignia, a lieutenant's insignia, this guy thinks that we, like him, are a traitor to the Horde. And he's... Yeah, I'm tired. He's basically telling you different things that you can do to help the Burning Blade, or like who some of the leaders are, right? And now I'm going to go back to Thrall and tell him basically what I just learned. But I think I might call it fairly soon here. But I'm going to talk about the second hotel I stayed at first. So I went and had lunch at Fisherman's Wharf. Very cool. I took a lot of video there. And then while I was on Fisherman's Wharf, I went and got the second hotel of my vacation stay. And this time I went with, because I hadn't planned on leaving San Jose just yet. It was like it was only like an hour outside of San Francisco, so it was good for like knowing the area and good for finding cheap hotels to stay at, because San Francisco hotels were like $300 some odd a night, which was a lot for me. Like, I don't have money, so that was definitely too expensive for me. Yummy, yummy Rockstar. So good for me and for my heart. So for the next 2 nights, I reserved a room at the Days Inn San Jose Convention Center. Like, that was the full title of the place on like Booking.com or whatever. It was like Days Inn San Jose Convention Center, and good lord was this place shitty, and I mean truly astonishingly shitty. Hey bro, there's traitors in your midst. Ah, excellent, Hunter. Thank you for the proof that there's traitors. Sure thing, dude. I can go and kill these traitors now, right? Yeah, go kill them. Awesome. Thanks, bro. Kisses. I think that's basically what was exchanged right now. That's basically what he said and what my character said. So, don't question it. Just go with it. Alright? Just go with it. And, so once I was done with Fisherman's Wharf and I reserved the hotel, I went and it was like a motel, basically. I went and I got the room at the Days Inn, and I went to the room, checked in, and was immediately horrified beyond belief. Now, I just want you to keep in mind, I don't need much when it comes to hotels and amenities and fanciness and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a high maintenance kind of person, and I don't need that from a hotel. Even still, the Convention Center Days Inn, which I don't know why it was called that. Like, I didn't see any convention center at all. I'm sure there is one. I don't know where it was. But this hotel was hands down the worst hotel, motel, whatever I've ever stayed at. And I haven't even stayed at that many, but it was still the worst. Let me explain. There was hair, human hair, in the bed from the last person that stayed there. Now, that might not be a deal breaker for you, and on its own it wasn't for me, but when I tell you about the rest of the stuff, it adds up to a picture of absolute disgust and managerial not giving a shittery. In the bathroom, the towels were still wet from the last person that used them and stayed in that room. Now, I don't know when that was, because I only saw the one car in the parking lot other than mine when I pulled up, so it could have been like 3 or 4 days since the last person that stayed in that room stayed there, and those towels were still wet from them. That personally was disgusting to me. The carpet was stained and ripped in multiple places, and the carpet fibers were like torn up, like someone ripped them again in multiple places. The walls were stained, and if you've ever taken like a drywall screw to the wall and hung up like a coat rack or whatever and then taken it off the wall, you know, that hole that gets left behind, and you can see the bare drywall behind it, the white drywall. There were holes like that all over the place of this hotel. All over the place, in every wall. Like I said, the walls were stained. Some parts of the walls were repainted in a totally different color than the original wall color, and it wasn't even attempted to be color matched. It was just like the wall was, you know, avocado green, and we had fucking lime leaf green, and they're the same color, right? No, of course not. And okay, so you know, like recessed lighting in ceilings, how it's like a canister light, but you put it into the ceiling and it's recessed? There was the holes and the spaces for recessed light bulbs, and no bulbs. They broke, or they never got replaced or whatever, but there were no bulbs. But the empty holes, the canisters, were in the ceiling, ready to presumably have a light bulb in them. No bulbs. None. The dresser, which also functioned as an entertainment unit that the TV was on, the back of the dresser was like just falling apart completely. It was like someone kicked it and undid that portion of the back of the dresser and then never fixed it. I'm actually surprised it didn't fall apart when I was there, just because. What else? Parts of the ceiling were also stained and dirty and grody, and I don't know how you dirty a ceiling, but someone did it. When I booked the room, I had requested a non-smoking room because I didn't want to have to deal with that. And it was very, very obviously a smoking room. Like, I don't know how you can even think to try to hide that, but they tried, and it failed. The bathroom had a shower and a toilet, but no sink. There was a sink in the main room right next to the bed, for some reason. It was like next to the foot of the bed in like what amounted to little more than like a fancy utility sink on the carpet, just there. The shampoo and soap and the shower toiletries that they provide at hotels, right? They were like half empty and just put back from the last person that used them. Like, it's such a little thing to complain about, but again, it goes to underscore the overall managerial not give a shittery about this place, that was an issue,
What can I help
right?
you with?
Like, they truly couldn't even provide new shampoo and conditioner. Like, how is it that that's, you know, like where you draw the line as a hotel owner? You know what I mean? It was not
May
good.
your blades never dull.
So because the room was a smoking room and it wasn't supposed to be, it stunk the whole time. Like, it all just stunk. Because the bed... I will say, I did check the bed for bed bugs, and I didn't see any evidence of that, but I still didn't feel like it was clean. So, when I stayed the first night, because I was so tired and exhausted and defeated that I didn't feel like fighting with that hotel and trying to find another place to stay all in the same night, I ended up staying the first night there. But because I didn't feel clean in the bed, I slept in my jeans and my hoodie with the hood up, because I didn't feel comfortable letting my bare skin touch the bed. I didn't want to catch whatever was in the bed. And I think that was the right decision to make. Like, I wasn't going to get in my, like, you know, pajama shorts and a t-shirt. No, I wanted maximum coverage. But like I said, I stayed the first night there. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have, but I was in no mental position to try to argue that. But I did get the chance to stay with a friend further up north for the rest of the vacation, so I only stayed one night in the hotel from hell, and that was the right decision. I did get a partial refund for the second night from the hotel, and I'm going to have to fight with the hotel booking service that I used to get the rest of the refund back, because oh boy was this disgusting. And again, I don't need to be pampered. I don't need a bunch of amenities when it comes to a hotel, but bare fucking minimum, it needs to be clean. You know what I mean? It needs to be clean at least. Like, before anything else, it needs to be cleaned. And this place obviously wasn't clean. They straightened up. The towels that were wet from the last person were folded. You know, they were folded in the bathroom, but obviously someone else used them, and then nobody washed them, and that was fucking disgusting. Nobody should have to go through that, you know? If it's not your own towel that you already used, you should not have to deal with that bullshit. Nobody should. Yeah, and then the rest of the vacation, like I said, I stayed with a friend, we hung out, and I got to see her family and meet them, and we did like mini golf at one point up there where she lives, and that was really cool. We did some shopping, we relaxed. I got to meet their little well, I say little, their very big puppy. It was a German Shepherd mixed puppy. That was awesome. I love dogs. I kind of got to meet one of their cats, but it was fairly skittish of strangers, which is understandable, so I didn't really get to meet the cat that much. But it was still, you know, a good ending to a suddenly horrible experience on the vacation that I had. So yeah, it was good at the end. It was good at the beginning, and then the middle was fucking awful, but then it was great at the end again. So it basically ran the entire gamut. And with that, I think I'm going to call it here. I do have some stuff that I got to do here at home first. Or, not first, but, you know, that I've been putting off, like straightening up my room now that I'm back and unpacked. So I got to do that. So I think I'm going to go. But if you are the one person actively watching right now, thank you very much for your eyeballs. I appreciate you sticking around and hanging out with me. It was quite good to have you. And I might talk more about my vacation next time I stream, whenever that is. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, thank you much, and I will see you next time. Bye.